Welcome from my tourism Pathshala. It will transform your dream into reality. Good afternoon. Now we are going to learn important role and regulation of air travel. First of all, what is the role of air transport in tourism promotion? This topic can be divided into different ways. That there are various reasons to increase the air transportation in India. These are: number one, limited disposal time; number two, unlimited disposal money; next, to visit destination in the short period of time. This is another important consideration. Another important part is the reduced time for cover long distance, and speed and range is another important consideration. And next important thing is the air access liberalization policy, which help to reduce air fares and travel time also. Apart from air transport help to cover complicated destination, and low cost airline another booming sector, another important sector to boom the air transport in India and all over the world. And cooperative activity, dynamic airlines marketing strategy is another important consideration. These are the important key point for the role of air transport in tourism promotion. In my next chapter, I will detail discuss about air transportation of tourism promotion. Next important part of this discussion, that is the regulation of air travel. A focus area of the study. Number, we have to understand the concept of air travel regulation. What is the role and objective of DGCA, Director General Civil Aviation in India? Next important consideration, freedom of air is a very important chapter for bachelor, masters and UGC NET and JRF student. What is freedom of air, when it has started, and total 9 freedom of air. This 9 freedom of air can be divided into 3 parts. First 2 freedom of air is based on international air service and transit agreement. Third to fifth international freedom of air is based on international air transport agreement. This fifth freedom of air is an important freedom of air international perspective. And apart from 6, 7, 8, 9, 4 freedom of air is a bilateral treaties and bilateral agreement different countries. And next important discussion in this video, that is called open skies policy. Now we are going to discuss step by step entire topic. Role of air transport in tourism promotion. In today's developing world, one can observe that the disposal time of tourists is limited. Disposal time is extra time. Disposal time of tourists is limited and disposable money is unlimited. Disposable money means surplus income. After finishing the essential taxes, expenses, when people have a surplus money, that is called the disposable money. Therefore, tourists try to enjoy and view as many things as possible within a few weeks or few days. The first of all, we have to understand what are the important reasons. Number one, limited disposable time. Number two, unlimited disposable income. Therefore, tourists try to enjoy and view as many things as possible within few weeks. There is a two types of tourists. Number one, leisure tourist. Number two, business tourist. They both have a limited time. Next, therefore, air transport has become a boom for tourists to visit tourist places of interest in short period. This is very important. The air transport has become a boom for tourists to visit tourist places of interest in a short period of time. To visit short period of time is another important cause to increasing the air transportation system. It has reduced the time taken to travel long distance and save valuable time. It also the reduced, next important point, reduced to time to cover long distance and save valuable time. Due to speed and range, air travel has become the most popular mode of tourist transport. For example, in 2019, 59% of total international inbound tourists had completed their journey through air travel. This data is really booming data, and these data are really enjoyable sector for air transportation system. Next important point, the air access liberalization policy and deregulation have enhanced tourist accessibility to the region. Air access liberalization policy, liberalization and deregulation also motivated to booming the air transportation system. Air access liberalization policy reduced airfare and travel time. The liberalization has reduced airfares and travel time to destination. Air transport play a crucial role in opening up new destination and even establish a destination. Air transport play the crucial role in opening new destination. Many countries, region, destination would have remained unreachable without airline. There is so many places in our world, in various countries, without airline it is very difficult to reach or cover that particular destination. Air access has improved tourist choice of destination also, and which has increased tourist flow to existing and new destination. So airline help the cover also complicated destination. In addition to that, it has also led to the growth of hub and spoke network and low-cost airline cooperative activities among the alliance members. Low-cost airline, low-cost carrier also booming the air transportation system. This facility have in turn improved the tourism arrival and tourist traffic in a country or destination. Low-cost airlines is another important booming area. Next important point, the international. In the international tourist market, an increased degree of tourist knowledge, awareness regarding different tourism product has improved access to a destination. As a result, airline destination promotion campaign. The various airline section has taken aggressive marketing policy to promote various tourist destinations. That is another reason or cause for improving air transportation system. Have frequently been catalyst in destination decision and generate tourist choice, etc. Therefore, it has become a key ingredient in tourism development with increased competition among airline and aggressive tourist destination promotion. So this is the main reason for improving air transportation system, and these are the main role of the air transportation system in tourism promotion. Thank you. Keep touch with this channel, and you have any queries regarding this travel tourism management, any question, queries, travel tourism and hospitality management, you put your comment in the send box. Thank you. Now we are going to learn the detailed discussion on regulation in air travel. First of all, we have to understand the international regulation in air travel. So what do you mean by regulation of air travel? Every government has jurisdiction over its airspace within its border and can govern air commerce. Therefore, any aircraft while traveling over a particular place is subject to the central government authority. So this is a part, international regulation air travel is a part of jurisdiction over is the airspace within the specific government of the country. The direct and next important issue, what are the role and objective of DGCA? Director General Civil Aviation in India. DGCA in India, Director General Civil Aviation of India, regulate air transport service to form in India. The regulations such as the Aircraft Act or the Civil Aviation Requirement are formed. What are the main objective of the policy and regulation are improving air connectivity. The first of all, air connectivity improvement. Number two, increasing travelers' benefit and choice and creating competitive business opportunity. So these are the important two things. Number one, international regulation in air travel. Number two, the DGCA as example, Director General Civil Aviation in India. The main objective and benefit. Now we are going to learn the different freedom of air. This freedom of air are related the regulation in air travel, international regulation in air travel. So first of all, we have to understand what is freedom of air. The freedom of air is a set of bilateral agreement. The set of bilateral agreement concerning commercial aviation right, privileges for international flight of a country to central and land in foreign countries' airports. So first of all, the freedom of air is a bilateral agreement. Bilateral agreement between the concerned commercial aviation right, agreement regarding the commercial aviation right between the countries and international flight of a country to entry and the land in the foreign country airspace. And when it has started on December 7, 1944. 1944, 7 December, it has started. 54 nations signed International Air Service Transit Agreement in the Convention of International Civil Aviation in Chicago, USA. The 1944, this is a very important point we have to remember, December 7. Now, we have to understand about the 9 freedom of air. There are total 9 freedom of air. There are total 9 freedom of air under which international air service operate. The first two freedom also known as International Air Service Transit Agreement. The first two freedom is based on International Air Services Transit Agreement, a multilateral agreement signed by 129 countries in 2007. The non-signatory countries are International Air Service Transit Agreement, Brazil, Russia, Indonesia and China. The first two freedom of air is based on International Air Service Transit Agreement. Next, the third to fifth freedom is also known as International Air Transport Agreement. The third to fifth freedom is also known as the International Air Transport Agreement. The first 5 together are known as 5 freedom of transport. So the other 4 freedom of air are not officially recognized under international bilateral treaties. Instead, they are bilateral. Bilateral means between two countries. They are bilateral between countries or group of countries agree to open their airspace for each other. So these are the important topic we have to remember about 9 freedom of air. The first 2 freedom of air based on International Air Service Transit. Third to 5th are related with the International Air Transport Agreement, and total 5 freedom of air. And next 4 freedom of air is based on bilateral agreement between 2 countries or more than countries. Next, we are going to learn the detail about every freedom of air. The first freedom of air. The first freedom of air is also known as the transit freedom or first freedom right. The freedom is to provide international air services to fly across a foreign country from home country traveling to another country's airspace without landing into its territory. From country A to country B without landing the territory. As an example, through example we can understand clearly. As an example, an airline, Air India as an example, country A India to fly Tel Aviv and Israel through countries B means Saudi Arab's airspace. This is the this was the based on Middle East country. It's called the Saudi Arab, without landing the airline in country. So this is the important. The freedom is to provide international air services to fly across foreign country from India to from India to Tel Aviv, Israel, foreign country, across the foreign country. Here Saudi Arabia, without landing the Saudi Arabia. The first freedom. The second freedom of air is also known as the second freedom of right. The freedom is to provide international air service to stop in a foreign country for technical reason or non-traffic purpose such as refueling, maintenance or emergency purpose. The purpose such as boarding or deplaning passenger in that country are not allowed. So very important, a purpose such as boarding or deplaning passenger in the country are not allowed. Here the final destination of the international flight is the third country. For example, an Air India flight from Delhi, country A, to San Francisco, USA in emergency refueling at Japan, country B, airport to South Asia, basically Southeast Asia. So there is no question of landing the foreign country or deplaning the passenger in the country. This is the best of second freedom of air. Next, our topic, third freedom of air. The freedom is to provide international air service to carry or deplane traffic in passenger from airlines home country to another country for commercial services. Third freedom, as an example, British Airways of UK, country A, is granted by Indian government to put down its passenger in India. Similarly, Air India can deplane its passenger into the UK. So first two freedom of air is also known as the International Air Service Transit Agreement. Now we are going to learn the fourth freedom of air, also known as the freedom right. The pick up passenger from another country to airline's own country for commercial services. For example, British Airways of UK, country B, was granted the right to pick up passenger from India, country A, by the Indian government. Similarly, Air India has the right to have passenger from the UK. So they have right to the pick up passenger from foreign country, passenger from another country to airline's own country, to the own country for commercial services. This is the fourth freedom. And fifth freedom, very interesting. If you see the diagram, you can understand the freedom to international air service to take passenger from its home country to the second country is to put down and pick up the passenger to the third country where the passenger then deplane. As example, an Air India flight operate on and off between Ahmedabad, India and London and New York from country A, B, C. Ahmedabad from India, from London, UK, country B, and New York, country C. So passenger originating from Ahmedabad can go to London and New York also. So this is the fifth freedom of air. What kinds of question they can give? They can give for as a descriptive category question. They directly asked us. They write down the different freedom of air. And for the UGC objective category, UGC NET and GRF student, they will mention the important terms and condition for the each and every freedom of air, and we have to identify the perfect freedom of air. So if you have if you have a knowledge each and every freedom of air, then we can write. Otherwise they can give the example, and then they asked us what is the perfect freedom of air, what is the perfect option of freedom of air. You mentioned that. Now next our topic, the sixth freedom of air. It is also known as the sixth freedom of right. The freedom is to provide international air service to carry passenger between two foreign countries via carrier's home country. With the hub, this freedom has become the common for most air transport network. This is the sixth freedom of air. As an example, British Airways of UK is granted to carry passenger between India and the USA via UK. This is the sixth freedom of fare. Now we are going to the seventh freedom of fare, the right to provide scheduled international air service to carry traffic from one country to another country by establishing foreign hub outside the airline's home country. As an example, the Singapore Airlines of Singapore country A operating between Mumbai and London, country B and C sector without serving Singapore. The Singapore airline, but without servicing Singapore, they are operating between Mumbai, India and London. That is home country of the airline. Sector without serving Singapore means the home country. That is the seventh freedom of fare. Next, eighth freedom of fare is also known the consecutive cabotage or eighth freedom right. The freedom to carry passenger between two domestic points in a foreign country on a flight that originate or terminate in the home country of the foreign airline. As an example, Singapore Airlines of Singapore country A, while operating Singapore and Chennai while operating Singapore, Chennai, Mumbai can pick up passenger carry Chennai, Mumbai, India country B. So these are the scenario, freedom to carry passenger between two domestic points in a foreign country. In respect of Singapore, India is the foreign country and they are operating the domestic places of the foreign country. That is the right of eighth freedom of fare. And finally, ninth freedom of fare is also known as the stand-alone cabotageer of ninth freedom right. The right is to operate flight between two domestic destinations in a foreign country. Two domestic destinations in a foreign country. It means that an airline from country A can originate flight in the foreign country B to pick up the passenger from one point to put down another point within the foreign country. As an example, a flight of Singapore Airline of Singapore country A flying the sector Delhi, Mumbai or Kolkata, Chennai in Indian domestic sector. That is called the ninth freedom of fare, right to operate flight between two domestic destinations in a foreign country. So these are the ninth freedom of fare. Ninth freedom of fare can be identified, can be classified into three parts. First two freedom of fare, the international air service transit agreement. 3 to 5, the freedom of air international air transport agreement, and next four freedom of air 6, 7, 8, 9 are the based on bilateral treaty between the country. These are the detailed discussion about the ninth freedom of fare. Now we are going to move on the next topic. The important next area is the open skies policy. The open skies policy, what do we mean by open sky policy? What is the concept? That the easy to access to fly to other country depend on the degree of sky openness or the number of freedom of fare granted to foreign airline by a country. What are the benefit? Increased passenger flow, increased tourist arrival, international tourist arrival, and increased domestic good export. These are the objective and benefit of the open sky policy. Next, it is a bilateral agreement. Open sky policy is a bilateral agreement provide right for airline to offer international passenger and cargo services. So open sky policy, in the case of India, Indian government open the Indian sky for the international flight. Now the government of India adopted open sky policy for air cargo in 1990. This is very important point, in 1990, but it was initially for 3 years, but later on in 1992 the policy was extended permanently by the government. So open sky policy India adopted 1990 is a very important area. The national civil aviation policy. Next, National Civil Aviation Policy 2016 has allowed the Indian government to engage bilateral open sky air services agreement in a reciprocal basis with the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, that is called the SAARC nation, and countries beyond 5,000 kilometer radius from India. This is very important point. Civil Aviation Policy 2016. The government of India have given the special permission, especially for SAARC nation, the country based on beyond the 5,000 kilometer radius from New Delhi. This is another important point we should remember, especially student of UGC NET and masters and MBA student. What are the important perspective the open sky policy of government of India? Next important point. Today, India has bilateral agreement with over 100 nation. Over 100 nation. India has open sky agreement with countries such as USA, Japan, Jamaica, Greece, Finland, Guyana, and others. Near about 100 nation, over 100 nation. And there are limited open sky policy with Asian country with some restriction with the UK. A revised open sky policy 2020 has been announced to ensure equal opportunity for Indian registered operator in the air cargo capacity. As per 2020 policy, there is a restriction for foreign, ad hoc and pure non-scheduled charter services flight to operate from 6 airports only. The airports are Bengaluru, Chennai, Delhi, Hyderabad, Kolkata and Mumbai. So these are our important issue of open sky policy. So through this discussion, what we have learned from this discussion with international air transport regulation policy, number 1, number 2 about DGCA, number 3, 5, 9 freedom of air, and number 4 open sky policy. So these topics very important. Graduation, masters, MBA and UGC NET and JRM student of tourism and travel management. Thank you. Keep touch. If any queries, any question, any doubt you have, you send me in my comment box. In next class I will discuss regarding that topic. Keep touch with this channel, share this channel and follow this channel. Thank you.